Hello again, and welcome to another episode of Brenda's Musings. So tonight I'm going to talk about reciprocity, and I want to talk about it in a way that centers around friendship. So I'm going to give some examples, and I want you to tell me which examples you think are reciprocal and a balanced reciprocal, because it can be other ways too. So let's go with the most basic and clear illustration of what equal reciprocity looks like. It's a give and take. So sometimes you give, sometimes you take, and as long as everything's of equal, value, then it's considered a reciprocal arrangement, balanced reciprocal arrangement. Another example. So you go to the pub, and you go to the pub every Friday night. Every Friday night, you go up and you buy a first round of beer. And you buy the second round of beer, you buy the third round of beer, and then maybe your buddy steps in and buys a fourth round of beer. So is that still an equally balanced reciprocal relationship? Here's another example. You always go over to your buddy's house, when you're there, you're always fed, and you're always given something to drink, or and this happens like day after day after day. Is that still considered a reciprocal relationship? A balanced reciprocal relationship in that sense? Here's the kicker, so to speak. Your buddy really, really loves to entertain you, loves having you over at his house, and you are happy to go and happy to hang out as well. Otherwise, you wouldn't be there. And this whole conversation would be moot. But yeah, so you're over there quite often, and for various reasons, you're not returning the favor. Buddy's not coming over to your place all the time either. So is that considered a balanced reciprocal relationship? Because in that situation, your buddy is freely giving of his time and of his facilities and so on and so forth, and doesn't put a value on it because that's just who he is. So this last example is kind of part of what my quandary is. So this last example sort of talks about how the balance is off because your buddy's always doing something for you, but you're not always doing something for them because you're not able to host. So maybe you go to the example previous to that I gave you, and that you go out sometimes, and so you tend to pick up the tab a bit more or a bit more often. Does that then balance out the relationship? Does that sort of bring reciprocity back into focus? Or, is that not the way? Like, in order for the relationship to be really solid, it has to stand on an equal footing of mutual, love and respect. And it also has to, feel right? Because nobody wants the balance to be off. But you know what? It's life, and it is off. That's just the way it is. And in this last example where you're always over at your buddy's house and he's not at your place, you being able to go out and buy him supper or buy him a drink in exchange or whatever, that makes you feel really good, but it makes him feel really awkward. So how do you handle or what can you suggest that someone does to keep both parties feeling like they are not the injured party? And can it be done? I guess it's the next question. Anyway, that's my musing for the day. Have a great one, everyone.